You've seen the pictures of Canada, right? Gorgeous mountains, big friendly cities. But what you don't see in those pictures is the hidden reality for 2025. There's a serious financial squeeze happening, and honestly, it's catching a lot of people by surprise. I mean, really, let that sink in for a minute. You land a better job, you get a raise, but somehow you feel like you're just treading water, or maybe even slipping behind. So let's dig into why that's happening, looking at the real numbers and the pretty wild strategies people are now using just to make ends meet. Okay, let's kick things off with a number that's going to hit home for a lot of you. According to Spring Financial, this is what the average Canadian family of four is spending on groceries every single month. Yeah, you heard that right. Almost $1,400 just for food. Now, what about just getting around? Say you need to rent a car. Nothing fancy, just an economy model. You're looking at about $124 a day. And that's before you even think about gas or insurance. And if you need a place to crash for a night, even a pretty average mid-range hotel is going to run you about $200. Whether you're a tourist, a student, or someone who actually lives here, these numbers pile up incredibly fast. So the first major hurdle for, well, pretty much everyone is the grocery store. It's the one place where this rising cost of living is just impossible to ignore. That feeling of shock when you see the total at the checkout, that's the new normal in Canada. And this chart really shows you just how insane things have gotten, and how fast. Back in 2022, a family of four was spending on average just under $680 a month on groceries. Now, jump to 2025, and that cost has literally doubled to over $1,358. We're talking about a massive leap for the exact same cart of food, and it's all because of this historic inflation. And get this, it also really matters where you live. Looking at data from Statistics Canada, Ontario seems to have the cheapest groceries, while British Columbia is the most expensive. Now, that gap might not seem like a huge deal at first glance, but trust me, over a whole year, it really, really adds up. But looking at the total cost of a grocery basket doesn't even tell the whole story. When you zoom in on individual items, that's where things get, well, kinda nuts. Just look at this. In Quebec, a head of fresh broccoli is a little over $2. Head west to British Columbia, and that exact same vegetable costs more than double. But the real head-scratcher here is the salmon. The cheapest salmon in the country is in Saskatchewan, a province with no ocean, while British Columbia, which is famous for its salmon, has the most expensive. How does that even make sense? It just goes to show you local supply definitely doesn't guarantee a lower price. Okay, so food is one huge piece of the puzzle. But the next thing hitting everyone is the double whammy of shelter and just trying to get from point A to point B. This is where the squeeze gets even tighter for a lot of people. Even if you try to be smart and ditch the car for public transit, those costs stack up. A day pass in Toronto is $10. It's over $8 in Vancouver. And you have to remember, this is on top of record-breaking rent prices in those same cities. For a lot of folks, the daily commute to work has become a serious financial calculation. So when the absolute basics of life become this expensive, it pushes people to think about things they would have never considered before. It really makes you wonder, just how far are people willing to go to make it work in Canada? And that brings us to what I'm calling the survival playbook. Because right now, we're seeing Canadians get incredibly resourceful and strategic just to handle these costs. It's really less about thriving and more about learning how to adapt and survive the system as it is today. But here's the most important thing to remember. You are not helpless in all this. People are finding real, tangible ways to fight back against these insane prices. Technology has been a huge help. There are these food rescue apps like Flash Food that are total game changers. They let you buy groceries that are getting close to their best before date for up to half off. And as you can see from this quote from a user in BC, for some families, this isn't a nice to have. It's a lifeline. It's the difference between having enough food on the table or not. But it's not all about apps. People are going back to basics with strategies that are more critical than ever. We're talking about 4 key hacks: price-matching flyers right at the checkout, planning out your meals for the week so nothing goes to waste, becoming a serious coupon clipper, and shopping almost exclusively at discount stores. These aren't just clever tips anymore, they're essential survival skills. Now, saving a few bucks at the checkout is one thing, but some people are being forced to find savings in much bigger ways, like their rent, and that's leading to some pretty extreme solutions. One of those is sleeping in your car. Before we get into the details, you have to understand this one critical legal idea. It's called care or control. Basically, it means you can get a DUI just for being intoxicated inside your car, even if it's turned off and parked. So here's the reality, legally speaking. There's no big federal law in Canada that says you can't sleep in your car. But, and this is a big but, it's all about the local city bylaws. You have to know the rules for that specific town. The biggest risk, as we just mentioned, is that DUI charge. So best practice, sleep in the back and keep your keys far away, maybe even locked in the trunk. Of course, the much safer bets are official campgrounds or maybe asking for permission to park on private property. At the end of the day, this isn't just about money or numbers on a page. It's about the real-world impact this is having on people's lives, from students to new immigrants to families who've been here for generations. And if you think this is just a fringe issue affecting a few people, take a look at this data from Finder. It shows who's actually online researching if it's legal to sleep in their car. The single biggest group? Men between 25 and 34 years old. This tells you everything. The cost of living crisis is hitting young, working-age people the hardest, forcing them to look at options they never thought they'd have to consider. This quote just nails the new reality perfectly, doesn't it? The dream of coming to Canada for a better life is still there, but now there's a huge asterisk next to it. You have to be smart, you have to be strategic, and you have to know how to work the system just to get by. So, after looking at the sticker shock, the crazy housing and transit costs, and all of these survival strategies, what's the final verdict on living in Canada in 2025? Here's the bottom line. The Canadian dream hasn't disappeared, but it now comes with a very, very high price tag. Being prepared, being strategic, and knowing what you're getting into is no longer just a good idea. It is absolutely essential. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, or I guess in this case, the $200 a night hotel question. When you weigh all the good stuff against this crushing cost of living, is Canada still worth it? That's what everyone is trying to figure out right now.